Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Faris Farhan bin Rahimi. My metric number is AA190839 and I'm from section 7. Okay, so today I want to present about my parts at this assignment. So, my part is direct online motor starter. So, I will present about the introduction, basic circuit, characteristic, principle of operation, application, advantage and disadvantage. Okay, I will start with introduction. So the introduction is direct online starter is the simplest kind of starter that connects the motor directly to the power supply through a three-phase contactor. The direct online starter usually consists of a contactor, circuit breaker and an overload relay for protection against any damage. The dual starter basically consists of two main protection parts: overcurrent protection and overload protection. An electromagnetically operated contactor is used, which can be opened by thermal overload relay whenever a fault condition occurs. Contactors are typically going to be controlled by separate start and stop buttons, and there is also an additional contact on the contactor is applied across the start button as a hole in contact. For example, the contactor used is electrically latch-based and closed, whereas the motor is working. Okay, for the basic skirt, so this is the basic skirt. The starter have single phase direct online starter and three phase direct online starter. So this is the single phase. Single phase has fuse, start button, relay coil, contactor, overload relay, and for the three phase, uh, it also have fuse, MCCB, and start button, relay coil, contactor, and overload relay. So this is the part of basic circuit. Okay, I will go to the characteristic. So the characteristic of the dual start, the dual starter. The dual starter consists of two switches, namely green and red, where the green switch is used to start and red switch is used to stop the motor. The direct online starter comprises a circuit breaker or MCCB, overload relay and contactor for protecting the motor. The two switches of two motor control the contacts. The motor can be started when we shut the contact by pressing the green switch and the full line voltage comes out to the induction motor. Provide the torque developed by the motor exceeds the load torque at all speeds during the start cycle. The motor will reach full speed. If the torque delivered by the motor is less than the torque of the load at any speed during the start cycle, the motor will cease accelerating. If the starting torque with a dual starter is insufficient for the load, the motor must be replaced with a motor which can develop a higher starting torque. The acceleration torque is the torque developed by the motor minus the load torque, and will change as the motor accelerates due to the motor speed torque curve and the load speed torque curve. The start time is dependent on the acceleration torque and the load inertia. But to understand it easily, the dual motor starter cannot exceed more than 10 horsepower range. Moreover, it's only suitable for low end and medium power motors. In addition, it produces a high starting current for the starting current, which will be 300% to 800% for of the full load current or even higher. Finally, for the starting torque of small engines, the full load value will be 150 to 300%. Direct online starting result in maximum start current and maximum start torque. This may cause an electrical problem with the supply. or it may cause a mechanical problem with the driven load. So it's the graph about the starting torque, starting current, and HP power, about the power HP range. So I will next to the principle of operation. Okay, about the principle of operation. Okay, to start, the contactor is closed, applying full line voltage to the motor windings. The motor will draw a very high inrush current for a very short time. The magnetic field in the iron and then the current will be limited to the lock rotor current of the motor. The motor will develop lock rotor torque and begin to accelerate towards full speed. As the motor accelerates, the current will begin to drop but will not drop significantly until the motor is at a high speed, typically about 85% of synchronous speed. The actual starting current curve is a function of the motor design and the terminal voltage and is totally independent of the motor load. The motor load will affect the time taken for motor to accelerate to full speed and therefore the duration of the high starting current but not the magnitude of the starting current. Provided the torque developed by the motor exceeds the lock torque at all speeds during the start cycle, the motor will reach full speed. If the torque delivered by the motor is less than the torque of the load at any speed during the start cycle, the motor will stop accelerating. If the starting torque with a dual starter is insufficient for the load, the motor must be replaced with a motor which can develop a higher starting torque. The acceleration torque is the torque developed by the motor minus the load torque, and will change as the motor accelerates due to the motor speed torque curve and the load speed torque curve. The start time is dependent on the acceleration torque and the load inertia. This may cause an electrical problem with the supply or it may cause a mechanical problem with the driven load. So this will be inconvenient for the users of the supply line always experience a voltage drop when a starting motor, but if this motor is not a high power one, it does not affect much. Okay, so about the application, these starters are very useful in motors when the three-phase induction motor is at low rating as well as the input is very low, then that will function at low speeds and lower rating. The next is these starters are used where maximum currents do not cause any damage, such as to run small compressors, conveyor belts, water pumps, fans, and other than that. This is all about the direct online starter, and the main features of this direct online include three-phase connection, high starting torque, voltage dips, mechanical load current peaks, and very easy switching device. These are mainly applicable to where maximum currents do not cause any damage, such as to run small compressor, conveyor belts, water pump, fans, and other than that. So, about the advantage of direct online motor starter is it's a very cheap and economical starter, more comfortable, more comfortable, simple to operate and control. The control circuit is much simpler, and uh, other than that, okay. So this is the about the advantage. So, but the disadvantage, the starting current of the motor does not reduce. Uh, the direct online starter has very high static current or too much current, 6 to 8 times of full load current. So, due to the high thermal stress on the motor, the lifespan of the machine reduced. Okay, so that is the next of the uh, disadvantage of the direct online motor starter. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Syafiq Aiman bin Suzaha. My number metric is AA190001. I'm from section 7. Now I want to talk about forward reverse direct online motor starter. First, introduction. Forward reverse direct online motor starter concept is same as direct online motor starter but different in terms of motor rotation. In this article, we are going to learn about the forward reverse starter. As the name defines, forward reverse starter is used to run the motor in both side forward and reverse. As the name suggests, this motor starter is used where the motor need to rotate in both sides. It operates with use of button. Green button start the motor, red button stop it, and black reverse the operation. This starter provides complete protection from overloading. It consists of two major components are called as contactor and overload relay. We are very high quality allow as contact so that the precise and chatter-free operation is achieved. The solenoid coil inside the contactor are machine work with use high precision winding machine. As we know that motor is a device that use electrical energy and convert it into rotary power. Next, basic circuit. This is diagram for basic circuit. Function of push button forward start is used to enable the current flow to the forward contactor coil, and push button reverse start is used for allowing current flow to the reverse contactor coil. Push button can be connected together by a mechanical linkage so that the act of pushing one button cause the other button to be released. This is a diagram for relay circuit. Next, characteristic. The device connect a motor to a power source, such in small appliance or power tool. The switch may be manual operate or may be a relay or contactor connected to some form of sensor to automatically start and stop the motor. Overload and overcurrent protection may be omitted in very small motor controller, which rely on the supplying circuit to have overcurrent protection. An automatic motor controller may also include limit switch or other device to protect the drive machinery. The direct speed and torque must be controlled by a controller. A motor controller might include a manual or automatic means for starting and stopping the motor, selecting forward or reverse rotation, selecting and regulating the speed, regulating or limiting the torque, and protecting against overload and foul. Next, principle of operation. This is the diagram for forward reverse. First, when the push button on one is pushed, electricity will flow to the normally closed terminal on magnetic contactor number 2. This aims to provide protection so that the magnetic contactor condition does not turn on both at the same time and it is cause a short circuit. Furthermore, electricity will flow to the coil terminal A1 on magnetic contactor number 1 will operate. Then terminal normally open will also connected and electricity will flow to the coil A1 and it function as a lock so that when the push button on is released, the magnetic contactor stay operate. The magnetic contactor will stop operate when the off button is pushed and disconnect the entire flow of electricity to the magnetic contactor, or if an interruption occur. The normally closed terminal on the overload will be disconnected and cause the magnetic contactor to stop operating. Otherwise, the normally open terminal on the thermal overload will be connected and cause the trip lamp will turn on as an indicator that there is a problem with the motor. Push button on 1 to turn on motor forward. Push button on 2 to turn on motor reverse. Next, application. Forward reverse direct online starting motor protection will with MCB with thermal and magnetic trip operate mode. Same as for direct online starting instead of fuse and thermal relay, you can use a motor circuit break with thermal and magnetic trips, a simple but at least as effective component. The direct online method is usually only applied to low to medium voltage and light starting torque motor. Electric motor may be classified by electrical power source type, internal construction, application, type of motion output, and so on. Some examples of machines that use forward reverse motor including hoisting crane, pressure transfer, drilling machine, and lathe. Next, advantage. Forward reverse are widely used due to their relatively low price. There are no limit to the number of times they can be operated. Number 3, the component require very little space. Number 4, the starting current is reduced to approximately 1/3. Number 5, easy maintenance. Number 6, long life. And last one, superior performance. Okay. Next, disadvantage. Number 1, not suitable for high rating motor. Number 2, create a voltage dip on the power system. Number 3, high starting torque. Number 4, very high mechanical load. Number 5, high current peak. Number 6, voltage dips. And last one, simple switching device. Okay. Okay, that's all from me about forward reverse. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Izahar bin Noor Zahari, number matric AA190338, and today I will present about servo motor. So introduction, servo motors or servos are self-contained electric devices that rotate or push part of a machine with great precision. Servos are found in many places from toys to home electronic to cars and airplanes. If you have a radio control model car, airplane or helicopter, you are using at least a few servos in a model car or aircraft. Servo move levers back and forth to control steering or adjust wing surface. By rotating a shaft connect to the engine throttle, a servo regulates the speed of a fuel power car or aircraft. Characteristic for a power open loop induction motor, the turn lock rotor is actually the condition or procedure for determining the maximum possible starting current. Lock rotor current or LRC, drawn by the motor while developing maximum starting torque. Lock rotor torque or name LRT. This maximum starting current is resulting maximum starting torque are typically measured in lab environment with the motor's rotor locked in place. Hence, the term lock rotor current LRC is typically found on an induction motor's nameplate identified as a lock rotor amp or LRA, which is the maximum possible starting current drawn by the motor at zero speed when the power is first applied and slip is at its maximum. The performance of servo motor as that of other motor is also affected by its ability to dissipate its head losses through it's much less likely to overheat due to an overload than other motor types. That's because servo controls and feedback along with closed loop settings and limits from the drive amplifier and potentially other controller programming keep the motor within a safe operating range. Operating a servo motor above its peak torque can demagnetize the magnets. Okay. Principal operation. A potentiometer can sense the mechanical position of the shaft. The current position of the shaft is converted into electrical signal by potentiometer and is compared with the common input signal. In modern servo motors, electronic encoders or sensors sense the position of the shaft. We give command input according to the position of shaft. If the feedback signal differ from the given input, an error signal alert the user. We amplify this error signal and apply as the input to the motor. Hence, the motor rotates. The common input in form of electrical pulse, as the actual input to the motor is the difference between feedback signal current position and required signal. Hence, speed of the motor is proportional to the difference between the current position and required position. The amount of power required by the motor is proportional to the distance it needs to travel. Okay. So, the application of the servo motor is, example, this motor is used to activate movement in robotic for giving the arm to its exact angle. This motor is used to start, move, and also stop the conveyor belts carrying the product along with many stages. For example, bottling, packaging, and product labeling. This motor can be used in the camera to set a lens of the camera to enhance the focus of image. This motor is built into the camera to correct a lens of the camera to improve out of focus image. So the advantage, high efficiency, more constant torque and higher speed, high output power relative to their size, high accuracy and small in size. Disadvantage, complex require encoder, poor motor cooling, higher cost, motor can be damaged by sustained overload. Okay, that's all about servo motor. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Nama saya Khairi Azwar bin Azhar. Nombor metrik AA190343. Dalam pembentangan ini, saya akan menerangkan tentang stepper motor. Introduction about stepper motor. On account of its unusual contraction, operation, and characteristics, magnetic, it is difficult to define a stepper motor. The best question to state the definition given in British standard specification. A stepper motor is a brushless DC motor whose rotor rotates in discrete angular increment when its stator winding are energized in a programmed manner. Rotation occurs because of magnetic interaction between rotor push and push of the sequential energized stator winding. The rotor has no electrical winding but has cellular and magnetized spool. Daripada definisi ini, it is clear that a stepper motor is a digital actuator whose input is in the form of program energization of the stator windings and whose output is in the form of discrete angular rotation. Okay, itu untuk introduction. Seterusnya basic circuit basic circuit of the stepper motor. The unipolar stepper motor have 5 or 6 wires. Ni dalam seperti gambar ajar ni 6 wire and 4 coil. 4 coil. Connection of the coil are tied together and used as the power connection. They are called unipolar stepper because the power always come in on this one pole. Okay, next, characteristic of stepper motor. Power of stepper motor. The output torque and power from a stepper motor are functions of the motor size, motor heat sinking, working duty cycle, motor winding, and the type of drive used. In the application with low damping, the usable torque from the stepper motor can be drastically reduced by resonance. Okay, seperti dalam gambar ni, dia memerlukan power yang tinggi untuk menggerakkan motor ni. Contohnya starting current of the stepper motor. A stepper motor divide a full rotation into a number of equal steps. Importance for many industry, motor and motion control application. The motor position can be caused to move and hold at one of these steps as long as the motor is carefully sized to the application in respect to the torque and speed. It's formula dia T sama dengan KT darab I. T ialah torque, KT torque constant, and I ialah current. Ni graf dia menunjukkan memerlukan torque yang tinggi. Kalau torque yang tinggi, kita memerlukan current yang tinggi pada awal untuk menggerakkan motor stepper motor. Starting torque of the stepper motor. Stepper motor put out torque is the highest torque stepper motor can output at a given speed without losing step. Okay, jadi ia memerlukan torque yang tinggi untuk menggerakkan motor ini. Okay. Seterusnya, principle of operation in stepper motor. As with electric motors, stepper motors have a stationary part, the stator, and a moving part, the rotor. On the stator, seperti dalam gambar ini, stator, rotor. On the stator, there are teeth with coil wire. With the rotor is added a permanent magnet and a variable reluctance iron core. We will dive deeper into the different rotor structure later. Okay. Coil balut pada gigi stator. Ini rotor yang tidak bergerak. Okay. The basic working principle of the stepper motor is the following. By energizing one or more of the stator plates, the magnetic field is generated by the current flow in the coil and the rotor allied with this field. Okay, at the beginning, coil A is energized and the rotor is allied with the magnetic field produced when coil B is energized, the rotor rotates clockwise by 60 degree to align with the new magnetic field. The same happen when coil C is energized. Okay, seperti dalam gambar gajah ni. Ni pada A, dia bergerak ke kiri, bergerak ke B. Seterusnya, pada C is energized, dia akan bergerak ke C. Okay. Seterusnya, application of stepper motor. Stepper motor are inexpensive and right because they have fewer mechanical parts. They are brushless, easy to position, and are commonly used in automation system. Although they are small, low power device as compared to the others motor. Ini contoh stepper motor block diagram. Okay, contoh kegunaan dalam seharian yang menggunakan stepper motor: consumer elektronik, automotive and aircraft, official equipment seperti barcode printer and scanner, medical, industrial machine dan banyak lagi. Okay, seterusnya pergi kepada advantage of stepper motor. It is flexibility, has greater torque in among other motor. Stepper motor offer a long life. Next, excellent low speed torque, and stepper motor are overload safe. Okay, seterusnya pergi kepada disadvantage of stepper motor. It is low efficiency. The torque of a stepper motor decline rapidly with speed. Seterusnya, the advantage of stepper motor: low torque to inertia ratio. And the last, stepper motor can be very nice. Okay, itu saja daripada saya untuk menerangkan tentang stepper motor. Sekian.